Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. I have an exciting announcement. A new kind of series of videos called Sketchbook Sessions. Now that basically involves me drawing in this lovely moleskin here, and I'm going to be drawing about different types and groups of species and drawing in a field kind of sketchbook style, and also telling you over narration an absolute ton of facts about that group. Now it's a bit different to my normal time-lapse drawings because I'm able to spend a little bit less time on the drawing, so a little bit more time telling you the tons of awesome facts that I want to share about our amazing marine world. So the species I'm starting off with, the first video is Anemones. We're starting right at the beginning of the alphabet, although I won't be doing it alphabetically. That's because anemones are absolutely gorgeous species with a ton of awesome and interesting facts. So if you watching right now think an anemone is just a blob, a weird thing on the rocky shore that you don't want to touch, well, stay tuned because you're about to find out why they are so awesome and how they are pretty much just like corals. So if you're one of those guys that really likes corals, then stay watching because this is going to interest you. Kind of wanted to say, because this is the first kind of video of the sketchbook sessions while I'm sketching out the page, this has kind of been inspired by the absolutely amazing and gorgeous artwork of three kind of main people. One is Benoit, I hope I'm saying that right, on Twitter, who does absolutely gorgeous field sketches that I've followed and admired for ages, and this is really the first chance I've got to sit down and do my own one after just staring at theirs for so long. Also, Mark Simmons on Twitter is absolutely amazing sketch sessions where he goes to zoos and different places or museums and kind of sketches about the organisms and does awesome cool little notes and things. So his artwork is so awesome that that's kind of inspired me to start and keep going with this field sketching. And second of all, because I have a book for every occasion, it's inspired by this book by John Muir-Laws, which is basically an entire book all about the amazing world of nature drawing and field sketching. So this book is kind of split up into two sections. The first section is all about information, inspiration, the things you need, ideas, how he draws in the field. And the second half of the book is a lot more technical about how to draw different things as you draw in the field. So if you guys like plants or birds or learning how to draw flowers and things, the second half of this book is going to be really useful. But if that's not your cup of tea, then the first half of this book, which is what I really love, is still awesome and amazing. So I recommend Law's Guide to Nature Drawing and Journaling.
I kind of forgot to mention with that book that it isn't so much about the field sketching, it is the use of field sketching but putting it into a journal layout that is really cool in the first half of the book, and that's why that book has kind of inspired me. I do have a lot of books and other books that are great for field sketching, but that book in particular is great for kind of field sketching journaling. So it's the journaling and the page layout that I'm kind of interested in learning as well with this kind of sketchbook series. So let's get down to it, talking about anemones. That is a little Finding Nemo joke for you there. Tis my sketchbook after all, so what would it be without a little reference to one of the most awesome films. So we are going to talk about all these awesome anemones that you can find here in the UK. Now these two species are both red and are easily confused, so I wanted to draw them next to each other to kind of explain the differences. This little guy is a beadlet anemone. He will have potentially a blue rim around the bottom where he attaches to the rocks, or little blue dots just below the tentacles, but you can't always see these. So one of the other ways to tell is that this little dude will be a lot smaller most of the time than the other guy that is just to the left of him. and these are more common around the shores. You're more likely to find this one, and the other anemone, which is the strawberry anemone, will, in my opinion, is less common and also has some other features. So this dude is going to be a lot bigger than the other one most of the time. It can also have a slightly different coloration, so the red can be slightly off tintish red, whereas the beadlet anemone is very much bright red, but can also kind of be brown and orange, so it's a bit difficult. But the thing is that the beadlet anemone will have a consistent colour, whereas this one can have different slight tints to the bottom of its tentacles, can be lighter. It's also kind of got a really good grip on it, so you can kind of see it almost looks like muscles clamped down on a rock, and then the rest of it is a lot smoother, so there is kind of a distinct line, whereas a beadlet anemone is much more kind of blobby. But the main difference you'll find with a strawberry anemone is the fact that it will have white spots. A beadlet anemone might have a few blue or greenish lines, but no other anemone in the UK is going to have these characteristic red dots. Now, most anemones in the UK, you are going to find them clamped onto a rock, but this guy, the Dahlia anemone, is one of the exceptions. You can actually find on the sandy shore as well. They are absolutely gorgeous when they're out. They can be lots of different colours, from green to pink to purpley, and they will be striped tentacles, and they really look like a flower. But when they don't want to be found, they can actually shut up and hide themselves with a sticky layer of sand so that they are completely hidden from predators. So these guys are absolutely wicked. Another anemone with gorgeous patterning is the awesome and very beloved in my heart snakeslocks anemone. These are because they have really gorgeous pink tips to them. The defining feature of this anemone is that it doesn't close up and that the tentacles are very long. You really never find a snakeslocks anemone closed because I don't think the tentacles can kind of fit in its body. So most of the time you'll just see these long, flowing, gorgeous tentacles instead of, the actual anemone itself, which is no bad thing because look how pretty they are. A rather silly thought kind of popped into my head, and I wondered why they were called snakeslocks. I think it's probably more because it looks like snakes' locks of hair, but maybe someone found a lock in the shape of a snake. But anyway, I thought I would add that doodle just to for my own amusement. So why have I gone back to drawing another Finding Nemo character with this gorgeous little gem anemone here being called Squishy by the beloved and awesome Dory? Well, no, she hasn't just forgotten that it was a jellyfish that she originally called Squishy. It's because jellyfish, corals and anemones are actually all related. They are very close kind of cousins of each other, and that's because they all belong to the group called Cnidarians. I'm probably saying that wrong. But really, the characteristic of this really cool group of species is that they all have something called a stinging cell. Now, this is how they hunt and how they get food. It doesn't seem like anemones move very much, but in their tentacles are these cells called nematocysts that are basically like wound up little coils with kind of like a harpoon on the end. These will shoot out to anything small enough and grab it and then and stun it, and the tentacles will be able to reel it in and eat it. So although these anemones don't look very dangerous, to something very tiny, they are definitely deadly. Now, if you live on the south coast of the UK, then not all anemones that you come across will actually be from here. The orange striped anemone, which is a very, very tiny, not even 1p kind of size anemone, is actually a non-native species and has come over from China, Japan, Hong Kong kind of coastline. Now, it's probably good that I made this I can't spell an anemone or say it joke, because I wrote down this was called the green striped anemone because the anemone is green, to then realise, oh wait, it's actually the orange striped anemone. Now, it's a real shame that this moleskin isn't bigger because I would love to draw so many more anemones, but I have just picked my favourites and ones that I have actually seen in person. These anemones are just so awesome and they are so cool, and not ironically to the fact that one of the anemones is called the gem anemone, but I really do think that anemones are a real gem of a find on the rocky shore, especially because any of the individuals you can find can be slightly different colour variations, so you never really know exactly what you're going to find every time you see one. But I have massively enjoyed drawing this sketchbook page. It was really fun and colourful and kind of vibrant, and it was, when you see the rest of my field sketchbook, you'll see that it's kind of a mixture of my more traditional style with this new kind of brightly coloured, more loose kind of style. Yeah. So please let me know what you think of this new kind of section of sketchbook sessions. I really want to kind of drill into all the different groups of species and shout as much information as you guys as possible. So let me know if you want to see more like this, and let me know what you want to see. I really hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week, and see you next week, guys.